I'm here at the booth yard, one of the hubs where city crews work around the clock to keep Toronto moving during winter storms. I'm joined by Infrastructure and Environment Committee Chair Paula Fletcher, City Manager Paul Johnson, and Josh Cole, TC. And of course, city workers who are tirelessly clearing the snow for us in difficult conditions. Yesterday, the City of Toronto declared a major snowstorm and activated our major snow event response plan. Some areas received up to 56 meters of snow, and this is a record-breaking storm. City staff and contractors have been actively and relentlessly plowing, and we will continue plowing nonstop, and we won't stop until the job is done. Right now, we have 600 plows deployed across the roads and sidewalks. Over 1,300 city staff and contractors are mobilized citywide. Since the last major storm, we've maintained surge capacity with over 100 additional staff redeployed, and we are continuing to add more. Through Toronto's Emergency Operations Center, we're coordinating a unified response across city divisions and agencies. Plowing operations, TDC, police, fire, and paramedics all working together. Here's where we stand as of this morning. Expressway have had 4 to 5 rounds of plowing. Arterial roads and collectors have had 2 to 3 rounds. We've completed 1 full round on local roads and sidewalks, and we are now into our second. In certain areas, we'll follow up with windrow clearing so residents can get out of their driveways. I want to thank everyone for their patience. Tomorrow's commute will be better than today's. As plowing continues, we're shifting some crews to snow removal, prioritizing hospitals and transit stops. That work is starting now. In the coming days, we'll ramp up removal operations, especially on narrow residential streets where space is tight. 311 is available 24/7 for anyone who needs help. So far, they responded to 200 Priority 1 calls, emergencies like getting people to critical medical appointments. These received an immediate response. So if you're experiencing an issue, call 311. If it is an emergency, of course, call 911. Most city services remain open. Recreation centers are open. City-run childcare centers are open, except in 6 locations in schools that are closed today. Warming centers are open also, with 7 locations available, including 117 additional shelter spaces that open Friday. 3 street outreach teams are helping people come indoors, and if you see someone outside who needs assistance, please call 311. Libraries are closed today and will reopen tomorrow. For real-time updates on city services impacted by the snow, visit toronto.ca winter. I want to take a moment to thank all the city staff and every workers out there clearing the snow. While many of us stay warm indoors, stay outside, plowing, shuffling, keeping our city moving, so the rest of us can get to work, get to school, and get where we need to go. And thank you to every Torontonians that have helped their neighbors clear their walk or deck out their cars. To everyone who keeps our city running, whether you work at a hospital, grocery stores, or local shops that serves your community, Toronto is at its best when we look out for one another. We're happy. Well, before we take questions, City Manager Paul Johnson.
Thank you very much, Mayor and Councillor and Josh. It's great to be here today. I also want to echo the thanks to the Toronto Public Service. I mean, The greatest pride I have in my job each and every day is working along 43,000 people and then the thousands others that work in our agencies, boards, and commissions that continue to keep this city working and the city moving. And to the staff today who came in to make sure our rec centers were open, our childcare centers were open, our city services are here, to those that have been working around the clock to clear the streets and the sidewalks and everything else that they're doing in this winter piece, I say thank you. This storm will require a process that's going to take a few days for us to move along. But as the mayor says, we're well on our way on that process. The plowing is underway, and it will continue until we open up enough space on the roadways, both local roads, arterial roads, collectors, and the expressways, that we can then move into the second phase of the operation, which is major scale removal of snow, which I know is going to be very important to many people in local neighborhoods where the snow is piled high. It does take us some time to get there because we have to get through the plowing before we can get to that large-scale operation. But one of the things we changed this year for Toronto was having surge capacity so we could start some targeted snow removal earlier. Thank goodness we did that in the previous event 10 days ago, and thank goodness that we're able to continue to do that in places like TTC stops, hospitals, and we'll be starting up bridges and things like that. I do want to say that our Emergency Operations Center is helping to coordinate things so we can shift resources in real time. A good example of that is the way we're helping out the TTC today. They need to clear snow from the exposed areas, the externally exposed areas along the subway lines. Their staff need to do it because it's specialized work given the power line that runs through that. So our staff are taking more of the opportunity to clear TTC stops so TTC staff can do their job that they're trained to do. That's the way we're coordinating our efforts so that we can get back on track better. What I am hearing is that we are doing a better job and are further ahead today than we would have been if this type of event had happened last year. So the patience of Torontonians is appreciated. We'll continue to work around the clock and do as much as we can to get things back to as much as normal as we can as possible. We do expect a little more snow in the next couple of days. It's not going to be anywhere near what we've seen in the last couple of weeks. But again, if we have to get out and start plowing because of those levels, we will continue to do that. And now I think, Josh, you're going to give just a bit of a TTC update before questions.
Thanks, Paul and Mayor and Councillor Fletcher. Just want to start with thanking, obviously, the TTC employees have been working tirelessly overnight, hundreds of them out there working to make sure that service is available to our customers. Also want to thank our customers for their patience. We understand that with such an extraordinary snow event like this, that things might be moving slower than we'd like, and so I appreciate certainly the patience that our customers have shown, especially in the morning commute this morning. Just want to give a bit of an update. We have right now over 1,300 buses out in the city serving people. So those buses and our streetcars are moving relatively well. So those buses and streetcars will be available for the afternoon commute also. We have over 80 subways cars running through the system. Obviously, as Paul mentioned, where the system is open to the elements, we're forced to do some turnbacks there as hundreds of TTC employees are working to remove the snowpack by hand, and so that work continues so that we can get more regular subway service going. On top of that, just want to mention that we have, I think, over almost 600 or more heating devices that are focused on critical subway infrastructure to make sure that it doesn't freeze and that stays warm so that subway operations can continue. So we've got hundreds of people out there now, thousands of employees overnight and into today and into the rush hour to make sure that we're serving people. And we'll be ready for rush hour. We appreciate your patience. Again, thank everyone who's been working together in a coordinated effort with the city to make sure that we're providing a reasonable level of service out across the city of Toronto. So with that, I think I'll turn it back to Councillor Fletcher.
Thank you very much. That was one big wallop last night that we had in the city. And I just want to say thank you very much to the mayor and the city manager, because you'll remember that after last year's storm, we had a whole, I don't want to call it investigation, but a look at how could we do things better. And I have to say it's really going much better. The snow removal is a big part of that, which wasn't part of the standard operation last year. And also 311 kind of closed down, but it is open all the time. We are getting lots and lots of calls. We get information all the time, and people are calling with their windrows, with their street plowing, and that information in real time is going to the divisions. So this is ticking along at a very good pace. I know for people that are stuck, they're feeling it might not be, but rest assured, there is a big plan here. We did a review. We've made things better, a better plan, and it is being executed now. And I just want to thank you again, Mayor and City Manager, for taking that on last year to make sure that we weren't having the same problems that we had last year. Thank you.
Well, it depends on whether the weather cooperates. If it, I hope it stops snowing. And I think it'll take a couple of days, but a lot of the arterial road is now open. You can tell they are working. We had no trouble coming over here from City Hall. And the side roads, as you know, the local roads have also been plowed, and the sidewalk has gone once. So we'll continue to keep going, and then the snow removal. So maybe you have a better estimate as to how many days.
Yeah, it's going to take days. This was a major event, but as the mayor said, I think you take it in chunks. So our plowing operations started yesterday at noon. They'll continue through today, but we expect that the plowing portion of this will be largely completed by the end of today and into the early part of tomorrow. We kind of take day as going through the night as well. And then we can start to focus on removal, which can start as early as Wednesday, the major removal. But it's important to note, we are doing some removal now. We've been doing some removal through the winter, which has really helped us out. So yes, it takes days. You can't get a storm of this magnitude and have it disappear in a 24-hour cycle. But the improvement we're seeing incrementally is, I think, what's different this year about the execution of the plan versus what we experienced certainly in February.
Yes.
I know it was said that they've all had at least one pass on them, but if you go on even some major arterials, and you can see people walking on the streets because they are impassable right now. So when that's the case, you have somebody going around to make sure that people aren't just having to walk on the middle of the road.
So we are, and so we get real-time updates on that. Sometimes it's the snow is just blowing it back. Sometimes it is the coordination of the major plow going down the street and then the sidewalk piece. But we get the real-time feedback from the spotters that are out in the community, and obviously the 311 being open all the time allows us to hear where people are seeing experiences. So I would say to Torontonians, if there's a major stretch of sidewalk that just clearly hasn't been touched for some reason, let us know about that through 311, and then we can send a crew out right away with it. So I think the operation's better. We have done the entire pass, but in certain cases, I understand that people's experience is mixed. As my walk down to City Hall today and early in the morning, some parts of the sidewalk were actually right down to the concrete, and then other parts of it, I was a little more lucky that I had the big heavy shoes on. Where does it lead? Where does it go? Yes. So we're targeted right now around transit stops and around, we're starting the hospital operation up University Avenue, Hospital Row, as we call it here. So that's where that's happening. There is no removal happening in a major way on major streets yet because we're still plowing. So if you see the plows out today, they're really opening up the capacity. A lot of people have said, geez, there's one lane and kind of a bit of a next lane. Well, the plows today are widening that streetway. Yesterday was about getting some passability through. Today is about widening that. Then we'll get into the removal operations. So it's a very targeted removal. We're even doing things like punching holes in large snow banks so that people can actually get on the streetcars. Anything to keep Torontonians moving today, and then we'll start the major operations in a couple days.
There's talk about snow plowing contracts, there's talk about more staffing needed, more infrastructure. Is there anything that you're doing to try and speed up some of the process? Because we know climate change, there's been such extreme weather events that will increase climate change.
I want to thank the city staff that are from waste management, from water, from different departments, and they have answered the call we put out on Friday to ask them to step up. And I saw some of them working shuffling and also bit removal to take the snow out of, I was at Dundas and University in the subway station, the entrance of it. So there are a lot of people right now being redeployed from other divisions to help out with the operation. The original private contract that was, I believe, signed in 2019 and 2021, unfortunately did not have snow removal as part of the contract, which is quite unfortunate. So we cannot demand the private contractors to do the snow removal. That is why we are now redeploying city staff to do the all hands on deck to do what we can to both plow the road and also remove the snow.
Really thought over the last year is how long it took to do some of the snow removal to make some streets and sidewalks asphalt or almost 3 weeks, I think, in some cases. Are you confident that asphalt is going right now that in 2 weeks we will be easier to residents and not being able to get down the street?
Yeah, the snow removal will be a lot faster. Absolutely. We now opened up 311 so people can call in for help. That wasn't happening. We've coordinated all the services, whether it's TTC, police, fire, ambulance, snow removal, so that you don't see, like last year, we had one car blocking 5 streetcars with hundreds of people inconvenienced because the service wasn't coordinated. We've also done the calling out and requesting support from every division, and they've been answering the calls, so we have extra hands. So what you're seeing is more people, new equipment, a lot more new equipment, whether it's snow melters or new sidewalk plows, plus a coordination that would have faster snow removal.
Do you expect how expensive this storm will be to clean up with snow removal?
And so just for clarity, we remove snow. What we don't have is a snow removal contract that happens at the same time. So we have to do plowing first and then switch to removal. In terms of the overall cost, no, too early to tell what that's going to be, but no worries on our part. We did ask that question and have that question sort of knowing this was coming after the one 10 days ago. And we reported the mayor and assured the mayor that we have the budget. There was actually an increase in the budget for this year. So we've got a little bit of for this season, and we've got a little bit there, and we also have a reserve. So these are the things Canadian cities have to do. Torontonians should not be worried at all that somehow the money might run out and we have to stop the operation.
Can you paint a picture of residential snow removal, I guess, how the city handles the removal of record-setting snowfall over sites across the city with those?
Sure. The first is, we do have the equipment. We just have to swap it out for the removal phase. The equipment, it's large equipment, it'll be able to handle it. What we tend to do is prioritize. We've got a much better sense of where those roads are we need to get to. You'll see signs coming out. We'll be giving people notice, a day or two notice that we're coming down to plow. Really hope that in the residential streets for sure, that Torontonians help us out. Clear those cars on the one side or the other when you know we're coming. It allows us to open it up faster. And then the other piece that we ran into last year was what we hit a capacity issue within our storage facilities for snow. We have more of those available, and we have the melters available. Both the ones that weren't working are now fixed, and we've got new melters. So that increases our capacity. So I'm not worried about capacity so much. There'll have to be a bit of patience, but this is a big operation of large-scale snow removal on major streets, and then getting into the more delicate ones in the local roads.
Hey, thank you for the question. So as I mentioned earlier, we have over 600 pieces of equipment that are used to warm subway infrastructure, so things like switches. And so one of the things we've done is to make sure that that equipment is working, and we know that it is, and so that's ready for a storm like this. The other thing we've done differently, we've learned from previous storms, is that we're actually, instead of storing our vehicles in yards that are open, like at Wilson, we're actually storing them in the tunnels. And so what that does, it allows us to get service out in the morning, ensure that vehicles aren't getting stuck in those open areas in those yards. So those are some of the changes we're making. But just to recognize, obviously, this is a huge storm. But at the same time, the Toronto subway system does have some open areas that are exposed to the elements. So I think storing those trains, making sure equipment is available, making sure it's available to work in those mornings like this is what's critical, and we'll continue to do that.
Famously called in the federal government for helping storms like this. Obviously, we had the Army come in and help. In the past, cities also asked the federal government to open up the Army teams to support the drones. Has the city contemplated or asked the federal government for help in this case with the city?
Not as yet. We will see where we are at. The roads now, you can get from one place to another place. So the city is not paralyzed like perhaps, I think, was it 21 years ago? Something like that, where the mayor at the time called in the army. So I don't think we need to bring in the army.
Can I just follow up just on the operations this morning? When it came to the shuttle bus, some of the people that we were talking to were saying that it just wasn't enough in terms of shuttle buses to pick up the subway. Can you just explain why you made a shift of resources around, or what happened?
Sure. So we had out today almost 1,400 buses in operation. So some of those are obviously serving the routes they always serve, and then there's an extra kind of flex capacity so that they can support a subway outage. We had extra shuttle buses running along Finch on line 6 just as a precautionary measure. So we have that flexibility to put out shuttle buses, and we had quite a few of them out. But even with those hundreds of buses we put out to support the potential of a subway disruption, they're still moving through streets that are a bit slower because they're narrower. And so that's why we said we certainly thank people for their patience. But we have thousands of employees available and hundreds of buses out for that exact reason. And so that's why we're running those shuttle buses now, to make sure that people can get where they need to go.
Mayor Olivia Chow and city officials giving an update as the big dig out continues. And don't worry, Toronto, the Army is not coming. They say they are ready for this. We learned lessons from last year. The city will continue to clear the snow until the job is done, the mayor says. So far, multiple rounds of snow clearing have taken place on the highways and major arterial roads. Snow removal will begin once all the plowing is done. The city says they will get to the side streets next. And a special thank you to all the neighbors, helping neighbors out there, the mayor says, and all the people working to keep our city moving during this snowfall. A special shout out to the TTC workers literally keeping us moving today. And the mayor advises residents, remember, you can call 311 with any specific problems in your area with this snowfall. You are watching CBC News Toronto. We will have more stories from our city when we come back.